This is Jack Marr. As part of our series on the 150th anniversary of the founding of Evergreen, Colorado, we're pleased to present this time capsule about the Bear Creek Cemetery. The Bear Creek Cemetery is where many of the pioneers in Evergreen are buried. Here to talk about it is Elaine Hayden, Evergreen historian.
It is often said that a cemetery is a chronicle of an area's history and growth. And that is the case with this Bear Creek Cemetery in Evergreen. A casual walk through the cemetery reveals names that are prominent today. The Andersons, the Schneiders, the Wilmots, the Hesters, the Hicks, the Mallets, and many other founding families. It was one of these founding families, the Mallet family, in 1871, who donated property on this site to build St. Mark's in the Wilderness Episcopal Church. And it wasn't 6 months later when Mallet's neighbor, the little Hester daughter, Emma, passed away, and he allowed that she could be buried on this property. So little Emma Hester, 2 years old, was buried in 1872. So that was the beginning of the Bear Creek Cemetery as we know it today. Little Emma was the first interment. And years later, a neighbor of Mallet's, Dwight Wilmot, sold property, 10 acres of property, to adjacent property with a stipulation that it always serve as a cemetery. And that is officially the beginning of the Bear Creek Cemetery. Now the church in the wilderness, St. Mark's in the Wilderness, was constructed in 1874 on the site where the shelter house is behind me. And it served the Episcopal community for several years until the congregation was decreasing, and a Methodist group from Sedalia, Colorado, did a deed swap, and they took ownership of the St. Mark's in the Wilderness Church. And they eventually, several years later, the congregation was declining, so they moved the church to Main Street, Evergreen, where the Little Bear Tavern is located now. The Evergreen Cemetery has served Evergreen community for over 100 years, and we have over 1,000 interments here, overseen and managed by a volunteer board of directors who keep the records. This is still an active cemetery and continues to be a chronicle of the growth of Evergreen. The tranquility and the rustic woodland setting of the cemetery offers a haven for mourners and also a final resting place for those who chose Evergreen as home all those many years ago.
In 1951, the present cemetery gateway was donated as a memorial to William and Florence Ames, who died in a tragic car accident. In 1965, American Legion Post number 80 installed the lighted flagpole in honor of longtime member H.P. Barney Lamer. Cemetery policy says that plots will only be sold to people who are or have been Evergreen residents. Bear Creek Cemetery is still managed by a small volunteer board. The magnitude of support it has received over the years from so many organizations signifies its importance in the community. It is a quiet, peaceful, resting place for those who lived in and loved Evergreen. As Evergreen celebrates its 150th year, what was once a quiet haven of mountains and meadows has grown into a diverse community. Over the coming years, that community will continue to cherish its environment and create new opportunities. We look forward to the next sesquicentennial.